Random question to posit for y'all. What is a Romanian vlogger famous for being cracked at video games despite his arguably extreme cerebral palsy disability, and a Romanian YouTuber that talks to people about their supercars have in common? You give up? The answer is dopamine. Hey, hi, hello, everyone. My name is Onepeg. Yes, we have the microphone in our hand again because it's story time. And this story is the story of an unlikely pair of YouTubers that helped to restore at least my faith in humanity just a few short years ago, at least for a little while. This guy is Daniel Andrei, otherwise known as Michael Gigant, or the Little Giant on YouTube. Hopefully I pronounced that right. If I didn't, I'm sorry. He's a Romanian gamer and YouTuber with cerebral palsy, a condition where people have impaired motor function or coordination, among other potential disabilities, typically caused by damage to the brain before or during birth, usually due to hypoxia, or a lack of oxygen. In Michael's case, Daniel's case, he suffers from what is called spastic quadriplegia, which causes spastic paralysis of all four of his limbs. Here he is talking about it.
Ca să o scurtăm mai pe scurtătură, deci a avut hipoxie la naștere. Asta însemnând naștere naturală, s-a strangulat cu cordonul umbilical. Și asta a dus la hipoxie, adică hipoxie, nu s-a mai oxigenat creierul.
Daniel's left side is considerably more controllable than his right, which he states he has no control over at all. When he plays games, he typically uses his left foot on the WSAD keys and controls the mouse with his left hand. And he wins. That's some pretty amazing stuff. I think we can all agree. There are a lot of things given Daniel's condition which either he has difficulty performing or outright is unsafe to do that we often just end up taking for granted, like driving. Daniel's YouTube channel is primarily dedicated to vlogging his journey through life and trying to experience everything life has to offer, regardless of that disability. One such instance was a desire for him to ride in a Lamborghini. But of course, given his disability, it was unsafe for him to drive it. So how do we make that happen? Enter Andy Popescu. Andy is another Romanian YouTuber with a channel dedicated to fast cars. For instance, this video from a few weeks ago where he speaks with someone working as a personal trainer about how he can afford a 2018 Audi R8 as they drive around and talk about the ins and outs of the supercar. Daniel reached out to Andy on Instagram in a simple DM and asked Andy if he wouldn't mind taking Daniel out in Andy's Lamborghini for one of Daniel's vlogs. And luckily, Andy agreed. At this point, I should say, it turns out that Andy is actually incredibly receptive to these kinds of things. He says that he'll vlog with anyone, or at least that's what he told Daniel at the time, which is an unlikely situation for most people that are the size of someone that Andy was even 3 years ago. At that point, he had 200,000 or 300,000 subscribers. So someone at that level generating the views that a channel like that would generate is not likely to just say yes to everyone. But Daniel, in this case, got lucky maybe, or Andy is just that type of guy and Andy just said yes. So they decided that they were going to make a YouTube video where Andy drove Daniel around as they talked to each other. And the video starts off simply enough as Daniel explains that Andy's taking them for a little drive, but then the mood shifts a bit. And Daniel begins to explain how it's surprising to him that Andy would have said yes to begin with, given Daniel's history with people when they've been exposed to his disability. And then Andy gooses the throttle.
Ui! Deci atent, eu cum fac așa, nu sunt... Nu cred, mă! Nu cred!
Did you see that? Did you see the childlike joy? You know how difficult it is for someone in the adult stages of their life to experience that? That doesn't happen very often anymore. And I just want to take a moment to say that if you've never experienced the feeling of truly making someone else's day in a completely selfless act like this, the way that Andy is doing right now, you should try it. There's nothing in this world, in my opinion, that feels better than just helping out another person without the expectation of some type of reciprocity. See, we're all brought up in this society where it's one of those things we're supposed to do stuff for other people with the expectation that that favor is going to come back to us somehow. I do something for you, then you do something for me, right? But not Andy. In Andy's videos, he typically comes across as your average run-of-the-mill gym bro. You'd assume that someone like him would be acting as a too good for normal people near or around him, but no, the guy is the genuine article. And unfortunately, he lives in this world that we're all in where people judge books on their covers. And I think maybe that's where this commonality comes from in both of their cases. Someone like Andy being judged for being like a gym bro D-bag when he clearly isn't, and someone like Daniel who's being judged for just shaking a lot, and people get weirded out by that. Neither one of these two people should be judged as such, but we all are. And of course, the both of them end up getting a YouTube video out of it, right? But at this point, the point that these videos were shot about 3 years ago, neither of them had channels where they experienced or would have experienced something as viral as what these videos became. They're just doing what they always do, making video content. That's what YouTubers do, after all. And at this point in the video, where you can see what I can only describe as the purest form of joy from Daniel's face, the Pavlovian response of Daniel's upbringing kicks in, and Daniel immediately begins to apologize for expressing himself the way that he is, which falls nothing short of just heartbreaking.
Nu sunt nebun sau ceva, deci eu nu pot să o obțin. Asta este fericirea mea, mașinile, nu știu, le iubesc. Deci acum îmi vine să nu râzi de mine, dar îmi vine să o pup aici, la Bărgănești. Mă evită, da, mă evită foarte mult și pur și simplu nu vreau să contact mine.
And now we have this weird cocktail of just unadulterated, pure, childlike joy, and then justification for having acted the way that he did that sends you down this emotional roller coaster that you aren't really prepared to handle. And Andy, overcome with emotion in the moment, starts to cry and then wipes his tears away.
Te rog să nu te sperii de mine, eu mă bucur ca și un copil. Deci
That's some pretty powerful stuff. You know, you think about situations like this and you wonder whether or not at some point in your life you acted negatively towards someone like Daniel. And I would like to believe that in my case, I had never acted that way. But given my age, I'm over the age of 40, by the way, for those of you that didn't know, looking back on my life, there's a lot of gaps there, right? I mean, you don't remember every single instance, so then you start to wonder. It's almost as if you're wondering whether or not you should feel guilty for something that you're not sure if you did. Now, I don't know about y'all, but if you're looking at that, I personally feel a whole cocktail of emotions. You're happy that these guys were able to share this moment together. You're kind of proud of Andy for having provided this to Daniel. You're kind of pissed off at society for having done to Daniel what Daniel did and the people that mistreated him all the way through. You feel awful that someone like Daniel would have had to deal with all of this. And then at the same time, you're super proud of somebody like Daniel for being able to overcome all of that and still have this extremely positive outlook on life, given all of the difficulties that he has experienced and continues to experience. This video was shot in October of 2020, kind of during the height of the pandemic that we were all having to deal with back then. So 3 years ago, Daniel and Andy provided us with a glimpse of how humanity should treat each other, lifting each other up rather than knocking each other down, and it illustrates how even the smallest of gestures, something as simple as a car ride and a little bit of gas, can help us adjust our jaded perspective and reignite our faith in each other just a little bit. I'm so glad that I was able to come across this story, and I'm even more glad that I was able to share it with you all. So thank you so much for everyone that decided to come and check out this video. For information on each of these YouTubers' channels, be sure to check out the description, and please consider subscribing to this and their channels, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.